Hey, I did it.
It's not Google Hangouts.
Yeah, man. Remember that? Those were the days. So much easier. I mean, StreamYard has... Anyway, this is not a StreamYard fan cast. Sorry,
As if there is such a thing.
I mean, hey, if it exists, there's... If someone, YouTube's a vast place. I'm sure there's... Hi, everyone. And by everyone, I mean John.
Me, I'm in the chat.
That's cool. I mean, I had this thought a couple days ago where I'm like, it's been 2 months since I've done anything on my channel. The chances of anyone watching tonight is... I'm sure someone's going to show up because, I mean, I'm sure there's got to be someone in the community who's forgotten to turn off notifications for my channel at this point.
Ben Compton is the guy.
Yeah, like right on time. Ben Compton, what's up, buddy?
Loving you, Ben. What's the there it is. Sign language.
Yeah, when I do this, my thumb automatically goes in. I don't know.
That's why I posted it, in the community tab. Get people like Gore Vidal.
Gore Vidal, what's up? Always happy to see you, buddy.
Make sure we got good people in here.
Welcome to New Comic Book Day Book Club. Although, I mean, it's still New Comic Book Day. We maybe should change the name of the show. But, I mean, who's got the energy to do that? Come up with new names for shows that we do once a month.
Who's got the energy? It's our monthly look back. We kind of comb through the books that came out in the month, pull a few noteworthy indie number ones and such out, and then hope that both of us can get copies of those books and then talk about them.
Yeah, do you hear that there's a paper shortage coming now, and that things like the Something's Killing the Children hardcover, like 20%, some crazy number of orders aren't getting fulfilled because they can't print enough of them?
That's concerning. I know there's also the whole Random House shipping drama going on too, where people are getting books that are like all messed up.
Yeah.
So,
but
that happened back east.
Pro tip, that's probably going to be scalped on eBay a lot when it first comes out, but don't buy into that because it's going to get printed again.
Right. And there's no like, oh, this is the first print. This is the second print.
I mean, there will be now probably.
You think the Boom Studios group are watching our show?
Oh, absolutely. Hey, what's up, Boom? We're talking about one of your books tonight.
Gore Vidal says, Alec, did you see Terry Moore's interview on Comics Experience? He said the inspiration for Strangers in Paradise was reading Bond novels at age 11, boarding school young adult books, and the death of a beloved uncle to AIDS.
I didn't see that interview. I did watch. He was doing some different live streams on Instagram and stuff over the weekend. I watched a bunch of those. But that's very interesting.
It seems funny. James Bond would inspire. I mean, I guess there is a little espionage, gangster kind of stuff in there.
Yeah, there's. I mean,
I haven't gotten very far. So
yeah, I was gonna say there's quite a bit of crime stuff in there.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like
it's not The Godfather,
Bond, but it's. I mean, well, we can talk about Strangers in Paradise another time. I
think we probably will.
Probably, since you're trying to read it now.
I've got all 6 of the pocket books. I need to start. I want to start from the beginning and go all the way through.
Yeah, I mean, you should. Because I mean, I know
we jumped a little bit in and read like a big chunk.
Yeah, you didn't read the original 3-issue miniseries,
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
No.
Okay, so how are you, John?
I'm well. Bit tired. My work schedule is a bit brutal. I'm not usually done with work until almost 8 or so Eastern. So it's like my schedule is a little bit off, which is making it so hard to do some of these live streams in a manner that makes it so people can actually tune in and watch. I appreciate
do a 1 a.m. Eastern stream. Someone will watch it.
Yeah, wait for the girls to go to bed and then just roll into a show.
Yeah, because I mean, if one thing is universally true is that comic fans tend to be depressed, and depressed people don't sleep at night. So,
TJ,
what's up? You missed us talking about Strangers in Paradise and how John can't do live streams anymore because of his work schedule.
5 minutes of rambling. That's what you've missed. I will also
Well, I mean-
say, sorry, I will also say I've been very happy with over the last month a lot of the indies that I've been reading, and I've been happy with how my pull list is kind of shrinking so that I can be grabbing more. Like I bought a bunch of trades and a hardcover this week, so
Nice.
I'm getting some of those books I really want to read in a collected form versus the actual individual books.
It's funny that you said he missed 5 minutes of rambling because the show is basically 60 minutes of rambling. So
you only missed the first 5.
You only missed the first 5 of the hour of stream of consciousness nonsense. Stephen M, what's up? Thanks for joining us. So let's dive into it. Right before we went live, you said you wanted to kind of guess as to what we wanted to talk about first.
So I thought it would be fun if I want to read the books in order of my interest in them, meaning like least favorite all the way to favorite is kind of the way I want to roll. I'm willing to guess the 3 that we're reading are just, well, technically it's 4 issues because there's 2 not all robot issues, but
I assume
3 comic titles. Yeah. I'm willing to bet we have them in the same order of preference, and we could start with the same one as our least favorite, middle, and then favorite. I'm willing to guarantee you.
Okay. I may say that 2 and 3 for us are flip flopped.
Okay, that's willing to say. I'm willing to be there for that.
Now, I will say 2 and 3 are pretty
in the right order.
Not like there's not a vast difference in how I feel about them.
I think we're already on the same page.
But the number one is much better than the 2 and 3.
That's an absolute fact.
Can I throw? Did you read this?
Which one is that?
Deathstroke Inc.
I did read Deathstroke Inc. Number 1, and I enjoy. I did a little mini review of it. I did enjoy it, mostly because I just like that character. The art is funky. The art is a little bit odd, and I had trouble with the art. I like the central premise in general, and I think I gave it a 7.5 out of 10, something like that.
Yeah. So really quickly before we dive into the actual books we're talking about, I just wanted to say that it was a wild, fun romp, right?
Yeah.
Like it's silly.
Yeah.
Which is fine, and it was
like a transporter movie,
right?
With Jason Statham or something.
But I think that it is irresponsible of DC to call this an issue number 1. Because not like you need a lot of backstory, because I jumped into it and I was like, I understand what's happening.
Right.
But it in no way felt like a first issue. This felt like a 5th or 6th issue of a story.
Yeah, I think it's probably just sort of a continuation of wherever the Deathstroke comic ended. They just now calling it Deathstroke Inc.
Which is just...
But I felt like they gave enough backstory that a person who's never heard of Deathstroke could gain just a glimpse of knowledge and kind of just run with it. Oh, he's a former assassin reforming. That's all.
It also felt,
like, let's just go.
To use your transporter analogy, very fast.
But not furious.
No. There was no... Well, there was family in it, so maybe there was.
The long and short, Steve M, is that you get a glimpse of Deathstroke sort of traveling a road to rehabilitate. He doesn't necessarily need money or anything anymore. He's looking to maybe find a better path for a while, and he's teamed up with Black Canary, and he's trying to kill bad guys, basically.
Yeah, they are teamed up, both working for an organization called Trust, which is an acronym to fight an evil organization called Hive, which is also an acronym. So yes. a lot of acronyms going on. And Hive are these kind of like bee people, for lack of a better term. There's a lot of honey and some robot bees and a lot of guns, and it's just silly and over the top. But
I try to pick a couple of Marvel or DC books a week to do mini reviews on. Yeah. Books that are number 1s and should you check it out. And I recommended last week grabbing Deathstroke Inc. just because I thought it was, like you're saying, a little popcorn book.
Yeah.
That I thought was, other than some clunky art where people looked a little squished. I didn't. That was the only problem. Chad.
Yeah. I mean, my biggest problem with it was that there were really cool moments, but they didn't give them room to breathe ahead of time. Like,
Yeah.
they didn't
set up.
build any suspense or any build up to these big moments. It's like the whole thing was a dubstep drop. Like, you never got the build up to the drop.
It's a TikTok video comic book.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. Okay. It was.
I enjoyed it though. So I mean, I would say if you even half like that character, I think you'll be entertained.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
it'll be
and
worth
get the
money.
Adam Hughes cover. It's gorgeous. You won't be unhappy.
I
having
actually
it.
got the other variant. I thought the other variant was great too. The one with like his face with like a
Yeah.
skull thing. I love that cover too.
All right. So are we going to hold up our number 3 at the same time?
Yes. This is my least favorite book we're talking about tonight.
Hey! We did it.
I knew we would have these in the exact same order. I'm just going to straight up say this book is crap.
Yeah,
and I'm mad. I'm so mad at this book because it fails at being a good Batman book and it fails at being a good Fables book. It just fails, period. I feel like, those commercials when they used to be like, oh, your peanut butter fell in my chocolate and your chocolate fell in my peanut butter. No, this is like your asparagus fell in my toilet and now I've got to eat it. Like, this is, how did you ruin this?
Which is Fables the toilet or is Batman the toilet? Yeah, and the fact that it was written by Bill Willingham, if I didn't look at the credits, no way would I have been able to tell you that.
This feels like DC editorial wrote this and not a talented writer like Bill. So I was just so mad at this book.
The characterizations of Batman does not sound like Batman.
No.
Robin does not sound like Robin. Bigby does not sound like Bigby. Like,
Bigby's barely in this book. I think he's got like 6 lines.
Yeah, but even when
most of them are just like curses.
I don't know.
Honey falls on cheese.
No, I'd fuck with that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fail on almost every level. Even the artwork was just kind of weird. Like, I didn't appreciate it. So it made me mad. It made me mad that they had an opportunity with this and they fucked it up this bad.
Yeah, because it could have been like this really cool.
I struggled to even give this like a 3 out of 10. It's that bad.
Yeah, I was going to give it like a 2.5.
See, look at us.
It's
we haven't lost it.
Yeah,
we haven't lost it.
Well, it's like riding a bike. You can't teach this. Here's the thing that I thought as soon as I finished reading it. If besides the scene where the guy tortured the guy with knives for 21 hours, which you don't really see, you just hear about it.
Yeah.
But if you took that concept out and someone like Mike Allred drew this, I would have thought it was a Batman 66 crossover because it was campy and cheesy.
It just, the tone was wrong.
So off.
For Batman or for Fables, it was just off.
I was expecting a really cool, gritty noir book.
I was expecting a Batman book, a dark Batman Black Label book that has Bigby Wolf.
It is Black Label. Holy moly.
Yeah. And instead, we got this odd. I don't even know what it is. Like, it's just so
like the scene on the roof when he's talking
fight between the two of them, or no?
When he's talking to Commissioner Gordon and that
woman,
lady cop. What was that?
So frustrating. The worst scene for me is the Bigby Batman fight.
Yeah.
It is nonsensical.
When have you ever seen Batman smirk like that? That should just tell you all you need to know.
Right.
Yeah.
So right after that little dialogue moment, you cut to, meanwhile, and somehow Batman spots Bigby watching from across at another rooftop and just is already on top of him and fighting him. And the dialogue is just bad. It goes, Bigby says, cute light. He's talking about the bat light, the bat signal. He says, you've been dogging me on the trail for the past 3 days. I'd like to know who you are and how you were able to do it and why.
Oh, wait 1 second.
What's that?
Are you gonna read
Bigby?
I was gonna say, can I play the other part?
Yeah, you do Bigby.
All right, what page are we on?
There's no
right
numbers.
After they start fighting.
Yeah. Bottom left.
Yeah. So first of all, since you guys can't see that, All of those Batman lines, he says while he's jumping through the air at him. He
Yeah,
hasn't
he's
like grabbed him
floating
or
in
anything.
midair
He
while he
is
says all that.
the thing that Batman tends to do very often, which is alert his enemies that he's of his presence before he has to jump on them.
Right.
Which, by the way, he doesn't actually even attack him yet. He
He gets in the pose, the crouch.
Okay. So you want to take that again from the
Says,
top?
I'd like to know who you are and how you're able to do it. And then there's a little pause. He says, and why?
I'm impressed. Before now, I'd have sworn nothing mortal and Mundy could sneak up on me.
And then there's this fist punching the cigarette because that apparently knocked his face out of the way.
Yeah,
Wrong
so
answer.
So fast that his cigarette just stayed in place like a cartoon.
Yeah. Firstly, that doesn't look anything like Bigby Wolf. It looks more like Jack of Fables.
It looks more like Constantine.
Fair. Very fair. Now it's you, I think.
Settle your fancy pants self down. What are you, some sort of crazy?
And then this is where Batman just derails. Batman just goes, you had your chance to explain yourself, now get up. What? You gave the guy 2 sentences. You've gone off the deep end, right?
Yeah. I've got no beef with you, but if you insist...
Yeah. Oh, so that's you, sorry.
Yeah. Youch. Stop it. At this point, they're fighting.
Now they're fighting, and it's like, I don't understand. Batman had all these questions he wanted answered, and he's not listening to him at all. Your bad luck that you caught me in a very bad mood. And he punches him with a brick in the face. Tries to brain him.
Yeah.
Ugh. And then Batman says, you're a tough one. No problem. I outfight tough guys every day. And that's the entire fight. That's the entire thing.
And then it ends with the literally least Batman thing Batman has ever done. Chaining Bigby up inside the Batcave.
Yeah. It's just bad.
Yeah. No, thank you.
This was just piss.
A real disappointment.
And I'm almost curious enough to get the second issue just to see like where the hell are you going? What could you possibly be doing with this book? I don't even know how many issues it's supposed to be.
Like if it were campier, it like falls in this line where it's like it's nothing. It's not campy enough to be a camp book, but it's not gritty.
Stephen M. I mean, it's not wrong.
I mean, it's basically what this show is. Welcome to the party.
So yeah, that was just a mondo disappointment, and I was really looking forward to it, just because I was like, this is going to be silly, it's going to be kitschy, or I thought maybe it could be a real dark noir detective thing. But either way, I was like, it's just it's like having Savage Dragon fight Superman. It's like, let's just see it. And it was just nothing that I wanted. Absolutely.
And like, I know it's called Batman versus Bigby, and they might still get to this point, but like, I thought for sure it was going to be a team up book, because that would have been much more interesting.
Well, that's what it's going to be from here on out. That was the only fight we're probably going to get with the two of them for this entire series.
I mean, if Batman doesn't fight his wolf form, I'm going to be disappointed. Well, I mean, I'm not going to care because I'm not going to read another issue of this thing. So
I can't decide if I'm willing to give it one more issue or not, just out of nostalgia. But yeah, I hadn't purchased a Batman book in about 9 months.
You picked the wrong one to jump back on with.
Right? This definitely made me feel like I'd made 9 months of good choices just to screw it all up right at the end.
You're so close.
I was on a streak. I'm just going to say. DC can't do anything right now. I am enjoying a couple of the books I got today from them. Nice House on the Lake, really good. And Swamp Thing's been pretty good.
But as we discussed in our Nice House on the Lake review, not a DC book.
It isn't. Yeah. It's funny
So
that it has the DC logo on it because it does feel like an Image or a Boom Studios book. What's up, Perry? Changing your icon again?
what's
No
up
more
with that?
pickle?
Fancy little 8-bit looking guy there.
He's dropping some Halloween reviews, and he did one for that horror movie Hush. I don't know if you've seen it, which is a deaf woman, being hunted or
Oh
whatever,
yes, yep, I have seen
which
that.
is like a Wait Until Dark remake, but we've made her mute or deaf instead of blind. I thought it was a really good reaction. I had forgotten how creepy that movie was. All right, so that was our the loser of the month, in my opinion.
Gorvidal said, I had a similar disappointment when Grant Morrison wrote a Wonder Woman story. Yeah, that's fair. The thing about this one, which is why it's even a bigger disappointment, is because he wrote Fables already.
The entire run.
Yeah. So, like, it's not like, oh, this writer I really like is trying. I mean, I guess Batman is the character he's trying. I don't know if he's ever written them before, but
I don't think so, but maybe.
But yeah, I mean, when someone you really like just really tosses one in the can,
Yeah,
just lays an egg. And by egg, I mean shit.
Sorry, Jennifer. We were just crapping all over Batman versus Bigby. And we're about to get to a book that I know you've kind of crapped on a little bit. So be ready for that.
Okay, ready?
Yeah, book number 2 on the list. Yeah.
Number 2 is right.
You can go first on this one if you like.
Just insensitive. Exploitative. I don't know.
I know that Mars, your partner, did a ton. She hated this book. And I think Alec and I are in the same kind of boat on this. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt.
No, it's fine. Like, I liked it more than Batman versus Bigby. Like, as a comic story, I just thought that it was kind of left me with a sour taste in my mouth about the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, it felt useless to me, and like it went for cheap character development, like the whole double rape storyline thing. I was like, I don't need this. What is up, Art Chemist?
What's up, man?
We're counting down some of the books, the indies or number ones from September, and yeah, this we're kind of crapping on Maw now.
Yeah,
MAW.
I kind of expect that that's what it's going to be like. It's just going to be a girl with a dragon tattoo, except handled much less tactfully.
That's fair. Well, Chris, I mean, it's the usual.
Yeah. Also, Steven wants us to read a panel or two from it. I don't know if
that could really get awkward.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can find one that.
What's up, Chris? How you doing?
Although I'm excited to do that for the final book. Yeah, I mean, the truth is the dialogue is just kind of all over the place. I don't necessarily get the main character. She's very self-destructive. And seems like fully aware that she's self-destructive and just is leaning into it. I think the most interesting elements in the story are the thing I bought it for, which is this culty kind of story, right? This idea of a cult,
right?
Self-help group kind of thing.
And honestly, like the
and
first
they get
page,
like no time with it.
The first page, I was like, it does the thing which I hate, by the way. And I know I've mentioned this before, where it's like, oh, here's the interesting part of the story up front, because we know that everything else in this issue is not interesting, but it'll hold your interest because you're waiting to get to the point that you know is going to get interesting eventually.
Yeah, we'll get back to this, I swear. Until then, peace. You know what did remind me though of is a House of X, right? Where you get like, to me, my X-Men. And it's like they're all being birthed at the beginning, but then it's like, we're not going to talk about that anymore. We're going to jump to some total other part. And then like it's like 3 issues later when Hickman gets to that scene.
Yeah, I mean, just cut that first page out. You literally never need that in a comic.
Right.
I cannot think of. I mean, if someone wants to throw one at me that they know off the top of their head that they know it works well, where the first page is like, "Oh, this is what's happening. Now let me tell you how we got there," because 100% of the time it works for me. 0% of the time.
100% of the time it works. 0% of the time. This is the main character for Chris, laying on the beach, waking up after the roofie that she took.
Also, very strange that her
Jesus-esque
attacker fully redressed her.
Yeah. I don't know. So I felt like it was there was another indie, I think it was a Boom Studios book from the team that did Faithless, and it was about a desert culty group.
Yeah.
And that I enjoyed a ton more than this, and felt like it had more connection to its characters and a better understanding of the story. This just feels like a cheap knockoff of that.
And like, I don't know if you've ever heard this before, but cults are fascinating on their own. Like, this could have just been a book about, I'm not saying like it should just be about a cult, but like this first issue could just have been about the cult.
Totally.
That was so glossed over.
Yes.
Anytime I was like, oh, what's going on with this cult? It's like, oh, here we go. We're going to just
we're gonna watch this lady derail a little bit.
Pay attention to that right now.
Yeah. So for me, like, if I like this kind of story, go with Luna. That's just a better book. For a book that deals with this subject in a very horrific way, Low Woods. There you go.
Or just read, like I said, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, because
that first novel is pretty amazing.
And the pretty dark.
Yeah, and the original film, if you can handle subtitles or dub, is
because the remake is a
shit show.
Yeah, not great. And also, while we're on this subject, this is
okay because this comes up.
Yeah, because this is another point of contention I have greatly with American film studios in particular. That original Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, besides the fact that it was subtitled,
yes,
is a fully American level film.
It is.
It is not like, there's a lot of like weird Asian cinema that like just won't translate to American audiences because the storytelling is just different and weird, and some of it's weird low budget stuff. This was like, other than the fact that it was not in English, was a Hollywood level movie.
Absolutely. As far as the quality of the production, as far as the themes and style of the story, like, it's very American. And again, if you watch it dubbed, fine. But I with subtitles, I think it's pronounced Noomi Rapace is phenomenal. So and good. She was in Prometheus, and she's been in other movies. She is perfect, and I can't imagine anybody else playing that character but her.
So get with the program. I mean, and I get it. Like, you remake it, you get to make the money yourself. But just do us all a favor and stop doing that.
It was a bad decision. So, anyways, Ma, I think we're gonna skip that. I'm definitely not getting a second issue of that.
No.
Disappointing. Which I'm super happy that we have these in the exact same order. What?
Yeah, I thought for some reason I was afraid you were gonna like
oh god,
Batman vs. Bigby a little bit more, just because I don't know, because of the fact that it's Bigby Wolf.
I had a lot more hope and was therefore far more disappointed by it.
Yeah.
I
mean, two pages in, I knew it was not what I was expecting it to be, so I kind of shifted my expectations, and so I hope that didn't like.
Yeah, I guess I could tell pretty early.
Kind of sour my feelings on it, but I don't know.
So I will legitimately say this is my current favorite indie comic that I'm reading. This next one.
Right. Yeah, and basically this was you short of begged me to put this on the show this week.
Kinda. And I hope you didn't hate it because I'm a Mark Russell fan, but like, I was not expecting this to be as good as it turned out to be. And maybe that's partly why I love it so much, is that it surprised me.
Um, would you like to do since this is your baby? Would you like to do a recap of kind of the plot of it?
For sure. So, Not All Robots is a sort of futuristic story, not your normal like post-apocalyptic whatever. This is like we've progressed in our ability to create robots so far that robots are now doing pretty much everything in the world, and humans are kind of like we just stay at home and are like just grateful that they take care of
And
us.
and
Like we're
I
pets in a kind of way, but like not really family.
to be clear, when we say robots, which obviously the title refers to them as robots, they are fully autonomous AI beings,
Yeah, they have their own thoughts, make their own decisions. They
their
are
own
definitely
personalities.
thinking beings.
Yes.
And the book does two things, and I think balances them really well, because that's the challenge I think of this book. One is giving us a real overview of this world and how it all works, but then also zeroing in on this one family dynamic where we have this husband, wife, and their kids living with this robot who goes out every day and works and does everything for them and then comes home. And dad is trying to be like sympathetic to the robot, that he's doing all the work and caring for them. And he's always like, you got to give him the benefit of the doubt. Like he's here for us. And then mom and the kids are kind of like, these robots can kill us at any time. Like this is not symbiotic. This relationship is toxic. And so there's this like slow de-evolution to this family dynamic.
Yeah, and each kind of major metropolitan city area has these bubbles over them, which contain the city because the outside air is toxic.
Yeah,
Right.
all the atmospheric elements are being controlled within that space.
I mean, yeah, 100%. Let's hope so.
See, now you're sounding like Mars and the Me You Love in the Dark.
And so at the end of the first issue, the Orlando bubble kind of goes down or springs a leak or something, and everyone dies in Orlando. So, whoops. I guess I'm screwed.
Yeah. The Orlando bubble breaks, and one robot is to blame, it seems. All the humans die. And the second book focuses mostly on the trial.
The trial.
The amazing trial that this robot has to go on for killing a city of people.
Right.
And how that trial stimulates the drama between humans and robots and the fraying family dynamic that's at the core of the story.
But the funny thing about the quote unquote trial is that this robot, who's just a head, gets to pick out a body to go to trial, and his defense is on a USB stick, which he plugs into a computer judge who in 0.37 seconds comes back with a not guilty verdict.
It's so good.
The computer just reviews all the data and all the defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
says, does the robot have a dong? And she says, yeah, the robot has a dong. Duh. Like, obviously.
Because obviously that's necessary for them. Yeah, the build up to the trial is great. And then the trial being like one panel is like so freaking good. Like it's really well executed, the story beats, which is something I always liked about Mark Russell, is he knows how to kind of like set things up and pay it off in ways you don't necessarily see coming. I think he just is he knows when there's a joke to be played, but he doesn't necessarily have to like make it a punchline. He just plays it out. Like my favorite moment we can get to in a bit, I guess, is the car accident. Like little bit, it's like 2 panels. It's like, I like died. I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah, someone's crossing the road and a robot car like hits them, and it just spits out money out the back and says, "Here's your settlement."
Sorry about that. Here's your settlement. And the guy's like dying in the road, and it's like money raining down on him, and then the car drives away. So there's a lot of satire here, right? There's a lot of black humor, and I think there's also wonderful themes and metaphors for race, racism, sexism. There's a lot of really interesting things going on here, and I think it's incredibly relatable despite being a complete fantasy. And that's
Uh,
amazing. I love that.
so while I did enjoy this, I have to be honest that it made me furious.
Okay.
Um, and I assume this is the point
Not all robots
because
have dogs is the sequel. Sorry, it
um,
made you furious because
because now feel free to disagree with how I'm going to portray or how I perceive this story. Basically, the main family that it focuses on, they have this robot, and besides a couple of jobs, one of which being hairstylists, because people are too afraid to get their hair cut by robots because they don't want robots with knives around their head.
that element is great too
So
and worthy of
hairstylists
discussion.
are still human.
And not only that, they're like revered as like the highest
Yeah,
strata of human
yes,
now.
because they're the ones who still like have their
Have an
craft.
occupation, yeah.
But at the same time, like the talking head woman on the television
Right.
is clearly that's her job. There's people
Yep.
on the council who have like are human, so there are other human jobs. But for
Right.
the most part, for 90% of jobs, they have been taken over by these robots.
Yes.
So in order to uh, make that feasible, so that humans can still exist and survive, they assign robots to a family for them to basically make an income doing a job and then live with the family.
Right.
Right. So this family, who's the main family in the story, did not purchase this robot. They were assigned this robot.
They haven't. Did they go into that? Because
I
I don't remember
feel I
that
feel
portion.
like I meant to look
But
it
that
up.
makes sense. I mean,
I meant to check again before we started reading, but I'm pretty sure that it says assigned.
okay.
Now, because of that, um, this robot is basically an indentured servant to this family who is fully ungrateful that they have literally nothing but free time to do whatever they want because this robot makes the money for the
Does everything.
household.
Yeah.
Even the kids like, I don't want to go to school because I have to learn about his stuff that I'm not going to use because I can't get a job when I grow up. It's like, well, you can do whatever you want. If you want to like be a mathematician, just be a mathematician. You're just not going to get paid for it. So having said all of that, the issue the humans have is that they're concerned about the robots
Yes.
uprising.
Yeah.
Even though they are
pretty much already happened.
yeah, even though they are, despite like being in control, are still serving the humans.
Yeah.
So I think that it is really speaks volumes to the nature of humanity that they can have these robots literally doing all of the work that I'm sure they complained about doing beforehand because they might get angry and kill us. Suck it up.
So I'm still trying to nail down the frustration. Is it just that it paints humanity in such an honest light?
Yes, because this is exactly what would happen. They're like,
I mean, it
literally,
feels so
like,
honest.
especially,
sometimes.
not. I don't care. It's my channel. I'll get as political as I want. I was going to say not to get too political, but like empathy has left the building with humanity. If it ever existed, I don't know, but it's not here anymore. And guess what? It is on display in Not All Robots. So big up on the writer who was able to really hone in
Capture
on
that
that
concept.
and boil it down to this wonderful comic that just showcases that perfectly.
Yeah,
in a
so
very satirical way.
It certainly could be a frustrating read in the sense that it feels like it's too honest.
It's too
maybe.
real, yes.
But I honestly I love that about it for me. Like I love the fact that it is a fantasy at face value and yet so painfully honest at every layer underneath. Like that for me makes a huge part in what I connect to it. Robert the Great Legend is here.
What's up,
Thank you
man?
for coming by, brother. So like I love when something that is a fantasy or a science fiction story can play on two different levels and have it be obviously an
Sure.
entertaining like trip to Mordor, but underneath you get all these other things that you can pick up on that feel so true to life, so true to humanity. And Not All Robots does that in spades for me. It might almost be too true on that second level. It's like very bitter on that second
And
level
I mean
of the
that
cake.
that's always been kind of the best sci-fi, right? Is the
Yeah,
sci-fi that uses it as a mirror to society to say
totally.
like, I know we're talking about robots and spaceships and stuff, but really we're talking about how you guys fucking suck.
Because I mean, yeah, the majority, right? And I think it's interesting to see that all kind of playing out in a world where it seems like people kind of got what they wanted. Humans, I mean, got what they
Yeah.
wanted and are
And which,
realizing it's a horrible setup. Like it's
by
not
the
good.
way, uh the scenes in Orlando
Yeah.
are of people in the Magic Kingdom at Disney World still chilling and going to the theme parks,
Yeah.
just happen to be dying here. But like the robots aren't stopping people from living their lives. That's the
No.
problem. If they said, no, we've got this, you ruined the world, you have to stay in your home, we have these robots that are going to watch out for you and take care of you, but guess what, sorry, you can't do anything but stay in your house.
Right.
Then it's like, okay, there's this inequity of power where like, but
They're paying
no,
for their sins or something.
there is there, besides them not getting jobs, I have not seen anything, unless I miss something, where they say, no, you can't do this. Humans still have free reign of their lives.
They do still seem to have a lot of freedoms. It does feel like they're, I mean, at least the family that we're watching seems very homebound, seems very restricted in where they can go. And I don't know if that's a personal preference, because obviously, like you said, we see other humans doing a lot of things out in the world. I don't know. They haven't continued to dive. They haven't, at this point at least, dived too deeply into where are the lines, right? Where are the restrictions? Because the robot human relationship has clearly some layers of you must do these things, right? The robots have not wiped out humanity and just taken over and done whatever they wanted. So
Which
there's
would have
clearly
been
something holding them back from just
right, because it would have
doing
been
this,
much easier for them to just do that. Because
right?
again, they are doing work for humans that they would not have to do if it is only their own survival they need to worry about.
So clearly there is some element in their software or whatever keeping them from just being homicidal robots. In the same way, there's something sort of keeping the humans from uh, changing this dynamic in some way. Maybe there's a fear that it could evolve into that. But I love all the pieces at play here, and I have no clue where the story is going to end up
Yeah.
going.
And they do like hint at the fact that some robots kind of malfunction and do go on killing sprees. But guess what? So do people. So that's nothing new.
Nope. So for me, I mean, I think I gave issue one when I read it like an 8.5. I gave issue two at least a 9. I loved issue two. I thought issue two was even better. Like the whole trial, the concept of the trial, the kind of like Frank Miller's Dark Knight. You have these like pundits that appear on camera at
Yeah.
different points, and the pundits were so good in the second book. You have a robot, of course, and a human and a moderator, and it's all discussing the relationships between robots and humans. And the the human pundit is always treated like the, oh gosh, here goes this guy again. Like the moderator is not moderating. The moderator clearly agrees with the robot on
Well, the
everything,
moderator
and
is a robot.
they just have the human there to represent and to be a token. And it's always the dynamic in those segments is fantastic,
So
especially in issue
what
two.
does it say about me that I'm siding with the robots?
To be expected.
Okay, fair enough.
What's up, NC Slapjacks? What's going
What's up?
on?
How you doing?
We're talking about Not All Robots from AWA Upshot. And I want to say issue 3 is coming in a couple of weeks here.
Yeah, and so the other funny thing is that after this mass killing of the people in Orlando,
of Orlando, yeah,
myself included, so something to look forward to. There's quite a bit of outrage when this robot is found not guilty of the crime, because
that's like the ending of this second issue, right? All of the humans being furious that there's no punishment for killing all the humans in Orlando, and the robots feeling like, well, it was an accident. Like, there's so many of you who, come on.
Yeah. John Stout, how you doing? Thanks. I've heard that before. I'm doing my best. But so this council of leaders, I guess, who are represented by robots and humans, kind of get together and say, well, we have to do something because people are too upset about this. We can't just do nothing. And that's a fair question. What's up? Nice to see you. Thanks for stopping by. So what they decide to do to placate the humans is that the robots have all these like really scary names like Blade Hands and Killer, and they're like, well, we'll rename all the robots to softer things. So they get names like Muffin and Butterfly. Like, I forget what the actual names are, but
it's so good. It's
like that's their idea of like, oh, this'll help, which was also a hilariously, wonderfully poignant jab at politics.
Right? I mean, it's always those like, we have a token gimme, we'll just give it to them. Like, this is the one thing we'll do to pacify the masses. We'll give them this one little thing.
It's the equivalent of a boss who's overworking you saying, oh, we're going to have a pizza party.
Absolutely. Oh, hold on one second. Sorry. I'm hearing Kate's voice all the way down here.
That's all right.
But like, I just love that moment because it's so clearly like designed on political dramas, right? It's the token solution that solves nothing. It's just we'll give you the appearance of a solution.
But it lets the politicians shake each other's hands and say, oh, well, good job. We did our work.
Right? So good. The line in issue is issue 1. See you later, Terminator. After a while, rotary dial.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
But it's full of these little black comedic kind of moments, these little black comedy moments that just are
like
dark,
honestly,
and yet honest and hilarious.
And honestly, like, I think without those, it would not have been a sustainable book. Like, I would not have been able to read this if it were just this dark, depressing story about robots not feeling like they're like fulfilled. This family's robot, who is basically the main character, is just so human and the dad says it the same way. He's like, you guys don't know what it's like working all day and then coming home and being exhausted, like mentally and physically. And like, that's what this robot's going through. We're not giving him any credit for that.
No.
And that he is like, the robot doesn't like his job. He comes home and he just goes to the garage and just sits there and mopes, and then eventually starts building giant weapons.
Which is a wonderful look at like the 50s husband who's depressed and hates his home life and has to like works in it, that Mad Men kind of thing. And he comes home, and there's so many ways to kind of take this metaphor.
Very so yeah, to the point I was making earlier is that, it would be much too heavy and too real if it weren't for those moments of comedy. So I think it was very smart to kind of interlace it with those kind of black comedy beats, because otherwise it'd be a tough pill to swallow.
But I think it's the same with a lot like Second Coming, which is another Mark Russell book, where I feel like if all the stuff he wants to say about humanity and religion in that book would be depressing to read if it were not treated with this attitude of, but we want to have some laughs. We want to really like pull back the curtain here and just giggle at the ridiculousness of humanity right now.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at all of the most successful political shows like John Oliver, and the Daily Show and stuff like that, the reason why people love watching them and connect with them so much is because they're hilarious comedies. Oh, and Tucker Carlson, he's a hilarious comedy too.
He's a Muppet.
Yeah,
and that's mean to Muppets.
To his own admission.
That's not fair.
To his own admission.
What was I remember when Jon Stewart was on with him and he was like, look at you, you're wearing a costume. What man your age wears a bow tie? It was like,
he does not wear a bow tie anymore, by the way.
He doesn't. No, because he got roasted. He got roasted on it. But he didn't shut him down because he makes a lot of money for people, clearly.
Yeah. Just remember, no reasonable person would find him to be actually telling any truths. That is a line from his own lawyers. So just think about that.
Yeah. So I think it's the Mark Russell brand to be drenching the honesty and the hard looks at humanity with a layer of comedy. And I think it worked beautifully in Second Coming, which I still think is a hilarious book that's way underappreciated. Sure does. And it's working well in Not All Robots. So if you want something in that vein, I really do recommend
Black comedy, not ivermectin, by the way.
No, not ivermectin. I'm talking about if you want that brand of comedy and that brand of social commentary, I think he's just a writer that you should look out for.
Yeah,
so Mark
because
Russell.
The thing is, like, when you're trying to do something that's very social commentary heavy,
yeah,
if you don't do it with a dose of comedy, it just feels preachy. It feels pretentious. And, a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down, for lack of a better term. Like, when you put comedy in there, it holds your attention and says, like, oh, I know we're just having fun with this, but at the same time, oh, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Ha, Chris Barrett.
Boy, I'm not going to highlight that comment.
So yeah, again, I do really recommend this book. It's only 2 issues in. I'm not even sure how long the miniseries is, and I don't know what AWA Upshot is saying about it, but I'm all in on this, just like I'm all in on the Second Coming. I think it's just he's got I like his style, and it very much entertains me. So I think in the end, I'd give the 2 issues together somewhere in a 9. I'd give them somewhere in a 9.
Yeah, I mean, if they didn't make me so angry, I'd say an 8.5. But that's maybe unfair. That's more about my problems with the world than the problems with the book.
Right,
definitely worth a read.
Absolutely. And for me, yes, definitely the book of the issue 2 is the book of the month for me. So September book of the month. Check it out.
All right. Well, I guess that, unless you had something else you want to talk about.
I finally got around to reading Stray Dogs, and I mentioned it to Alec. I got the trade of Stray Dogs, and I truly believe this is overrated. I didn't hate it. I enjoyed it. I think Stray Dogs is a good book, but people calling this the book of the year, I don't get it. Like that's way too much hype and overrated for me. I think I'd probably give the whole thing an 8.5 out of 10. So not a horrible book by any stretch, but definitely not book of the year. This is amazing perfection or something. I'm already happy to say Not All Robots is better than that, like on every level for me. So I just, maybe it's just because of the hype machine on it. People are just bonkers for this book. And like you mentioned, bonkers for the covers, the variants. I was expecting something with more depth. Maybe it just was, it's all right.
Yeah. But I mean, the hype machine, I get that idea of like, oh, this was too hyped up. And so I had my expectations raised too much. And that's happened to me plenty of times before. But,
sure.
Like we talked last month about Nice House on the Lake, which clearly was also very hyped up, and I liked it more than I thought it was going to.
Sure.
And I don't know if that's because I was wary of the hype and kind of
well, and it's a DC Black Label. You're like, I don't know what I'm going to get out of this. Yeah, Bearded. I'm just not. I just was not as blown away by it. I honestly have had so many people telling me that it's their favorite book of the year, and I feel like it would break the top 5 for me personally. It's a little bit bonkers. That's insane high praise, and I'm not gonna. I didn't say I hated it. I said I'd give it an 8, 8.5. So that's a solid score. I just don't see it as book of the year, and a ton of people were like, "Gotta read this. This is book of the year. Gotta read it."
Yeah, I mean that's just because I think not enough people read stuff like Layla Starr.
There it is. Yeah, Layla Starr is easily top 5. Depending on how Not All Robots comes out, easily top 5.
Yeah.
Stray Dogs just is not going to make it there.
Yeah, imagine if Layla Starr, if all the characters were dogs, everyone would have
read it. Yes, and to your point, Gore, I did really enjoy Righteous Thirst for Vengeance. I did not get his there's a new issue of Deadly Class, I guess, but this was a very good first issue from Image today. Right? Yeah, Image.
So talking about, oh, look at that. I mean, great legend. Super appreciate the super chat. The the donation train to the charities we are donating this to is kind of slowed down since we only do this once a month, and I don't think Google's ever going to pay me again. But no pressure to like, share, and subscribe and hit that bell because I don't put out content anymore. So,
hey, every other month we're right here.
Yeah, every other month we're right there too, at your channel.
That's probably fair.
Remember when we used to do this once a week? Whew. Man, that sounds like a lot of work.
We would have had to do a whole episode crapping on Bigby versus Batman.
I mean, I think we could have done it.
We would have
when we were in our fight and weight.
Acted out the whole thing.
Yeah. When you said Deadly Class, an issue of that came out, Saga's just not coming back, right?
Not that I heard. There's been 0 announcements.
That's been a long time.
Has been, yeah.
Really banking on people still caring about that.
And and
they probably will. That's the thing.
My pathetic hope was that issue number 1s would kind of like peter out and go down in value during this time, and then I would snag one at some point. But it's like it's continued. This whole market's so bonkers; it just keeps going up.
Yeah, it is.
So that might be a book. I'm just like, bye bye. It was good to see you.
Yeah, it's funny when it came out. I bought it when the week it came out, thankfully. But I was like, oh, this is a Brian K. Vaughan book. Obviously, even back then, Why the Last Man #1 was a hard to find book. And I was like, maybe I should buy a couple of copies of these. And I was like, but our shop got so many at the time that I'm like, oh, there's tons of these around. Like, there's no way it's gonna be worth anything. And I don't think anyone could have predicted 2020 and 2021 for the comic market. But geez, Louise.
I remember like early 2019, I was like, oh, I could get a copy of this for 150, 175 bucks, 9.8. Like that sounds pretty good. I was like, that's a lot of money. I'll just wait. It'll come down.
Yeah.
No,
John and I were messaging each other the other day, and I was like, I'm tapped out. Like I'll still be a comic reader forever, but like I cannot afford to collect comics anymore. It's just not sustainable.
That's fair.
Real quickly, have you started watching Why the Last Man?
Yes, I have. I'm 3 episodes in, so I'm a couple behind, but not too far.
Yeah, I think I'm 4. So,
and I'm enjoying it. I feel like it's a fair adaptation, and I love the actress playing Agent 355. I think she's freaking awesome. I haven't met Dr. Mann yet. I don't even know if she's going to be in this season, but I haven't met Dr. That's how far back I am.
She is. Spoilers. Yeah, I think they're doing a good job of kind of balancing it a bit better, because obviously the comic is like 90% Yorick.
Yeah.
And this kind of gives you a little bit more of a swath of like what's going on in the world.
Sure.
But there's like some storylines I just like don't care about that are completely fabricated from not in the comic, which
Not
is
in the
fine.
comic,
Like,
yeah.
I don't need like a panel by panel adaptation, but
Sure.
you know, I just thought that was surprising that they just went so far out there.
No, I think they've certainly bulked it up, right? So that it's not just Yorick and 355 on a road trip for for an endless road trip. I will say my wife has had one continual complaint, and I love her for it. Her attitude is like, all the men die and just women can't handle it. Like, what the fuck? Like,
So
women should be able to like, there should be enough to like just generally manage. Like,
yes,
come on.
so I
That's
have heard
her suspension of disbelief on the idea that the world would fall to shit because men died.
my
I was like, no.
My ex-wife said the same thing when she read the comic, and my argument was, if suddenly half of the people died in the world, no matter who they are, at the same time, things would fall apart. I don't think it specifically has to do with the men dying. I mean, obviously, that's what it looks like because that is what it is in this show. But the reality is, like, if 4 billion people drop dead at once, just like the chaos that would ensue from planes crashing and the bodies needing to be cleaned up and like
The plane crashes alone all across the globe
in car
would
accidents.
cause catastrophe, right?
Yeah, roads would take forever to clean up. There, like, transportation would be
My
brought to a
reply
standstill.
to her every time was like, what happened when we got like a pandemic outbreak of like the flu? Like basically my retort was COVID like every single time.
Yeah.
Like,
Thankfully,
like,
we have that to
this
point
tiny
to
little
now.
flu that's like sadly killing hundreds of thousands of people
Still,
is like not even close to what's happening and why. But you can see how we've just fallen to rancor with that. Like,
yeah.
imagine the cat. But her attitude is always like, yeah, but like, come on, the women would keep the lights on someplace. Like it would be. And I kept telling her like, yeah, but we're just seeing a couple of big city pockets. Trust me, there's other things happening elsewhere. But that I just love her perspective. Like, she kept like rolling her eyes every once in a while, like, come on, they'd have figured this out.
And I mean, to her credit, I think that yes, like, women are much more resourceful when it comes down to it than men are. They would have. They'll be all right.
Yeah.
And better that way, because then the human race could theoretically still continue. Whereas if it was all the women who died and it was just men left,
SOL.
no nice wombs to make a baby in. But really, like, would it be that bad if the human race just kind of took a break? Not saying like go away forever, but just like,
dinosaurs had their chance. Nature selected them for extinction.
we just need like a 100-year nap, just to reset it a little bit. Like, like your modem's on the fritz. You got to turn it off and turn it back on.
Right. Let it cool down for a little bit.
I'm clearly joking, by the way.
No, I'm not.
No, I mean, I'm not, but I have to say that for legal reasons, right?
As if someone's gonna be like, "Hey, I like your idea, Alec. I'm gonna go do that."
Since all of Boom Studios is watching, who knows?
So yes, in short, I am enjoying Y: The Last Man. I'm curious to see how season 1 goes. I had a lot of trepidation about it because I was just, it's one of those books that means a lot to me. Coming back into collecting that era of Vertigo.
Vertigo, yeah.
So I wanted one of them to be out there and nailing it, because I'm never going to get Fables. It's just not going to happen. 100 Bullets at this point. Brian Azarella's burned enough bridges that I don't know that that's ever coming around. So one of them's got to make it.
Well, I mean, Preacher. You haven't read that?
I did. I tried it. I've tried it twice. And that first volume, I just can't get into it. The second the Irish Vampire comes in, I'm like, does this book just have where's the unicorn? Like, when does a unicorn come in? Like, what is not
in the third trade?
That's what I'm saying.
No, right? I don't remember there being.
Here we have the Australian unicorn is next, and
but I mean, it is already a fantasy from the page 1. So why not put a vampire in it? Like, why is that so hard to believe? The guy,
because you tell me that it's about like gods and devils and angels, and I'm like, okay, I get, like, I can get the spiritual element that Why is a werewolf? Why would a werewolf all of a sudden be in here? Like, why is that the thing? Why do we need that?
Because supernatural is supernatural.
Not well. You're arguing that, like, some people are going to say, well, God and Jesus aren't supernatural. That's just real.
I mean, they
Vampires
are, whether or not you believe in God and Jesus, they are quite literally supernatural.
are.
They are the definition of supernatural.
Fantastical, maybe is the word I was thinking for. John hates Irishmen. I'm named after an Irish whiskey.
John Jameson, the most Irish name besides like Patrick
without
McKinley.
an O at the beginning of it.
Yeah, O'Sullivan.
Chris Barrett with the comment of the night. I will say, yeah, I have never read something by Garth Ennis and been like, God, this guy's amazing. It just hasn't happened yet. So maybe I just haven't read that book. Preacher.
I mean, I was 18 when I read it, so for the first time.
I've only read the first trade. I've read it twice, and that's it. I do that a lot. I pay myself.
Yeah, I mean,
so that era for me, it was 100 Bullets, Fables, and Why the Last Man. And of the three, Why was the most easily adaptable, I think. And I still think 100 Bullets would make a great TV series. I don't need like the literal adaptation. I think you just find somebody that can, create a fun crime drama out of it. I love the morality play of getting a briefcase and getting the chance at revenge, but like, what do you do with it and what happens? I love that concept. I don't need his like jargon or whatever. Like, just it's a great concept. One day.
To this point, like, I think basically if you've ever watched, and I know you have Chaos Comics, I've ever watched anything we have done on YouTube, it is basically just us saying things we probably shouldn't say.
It's fair. It's fair. John is the one Irish guy who would be helping the British Army during the Troubles. Capital T.
Yeah. All right. Well.
Yeah, that's it.
Wrap up this dog and pony show for the month.
Sure.
We have D&D this weekend?
We do. We did not last weekend. We do this coming weekend, I believe.
Cool. D&D this weekend. I'm also doing something. You're going to be on that thing with Jason too on Friday?
Yeah, I'm should be.
I don't know if anyone can watch it,
late, but I don't know how it works or where it is.
We're testing some new app that he's helping test. So I don't know if you need like an invite code or something. I don't know. At Comics Misexplained, if you want to look into it, but we're going to be on some chat with him testing streaming on it on Friday.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if it's been announced yet, but I'm going to be on a show next week on Wednesday. So look out for that. I'm sure will not be able to miss it.
Okay.
I mean, you can physically miss it, but you won't.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, you'll be aware of it
intentionally.
And then later this month, finally, hopefully, knock on wood, because it's already been the most difficult show to schedule. The indie show with
Usagi
JP
Yojimbo.
and the gang doing Usagi Yojimbo Volume 2, which has already been rescheduled once, which the first time we rescheduled it like 4 times, so we're already way ahead of the curve if we actually make it.
Hey, Fable's 22 volumes. We're done. We did it. We went through that whole.
Was it just you two?
No, we had Sharon and Rena and Unruly Simeon.
No.
I am on the Cerebros tomorrow night, talking new comics, which by the way, it's a great name for a channel. The Cerebros. So I'll be talking new comics with them same time, actually 10 o'clock Eastern tomorrow night on their channel. And that's pretty much it for me. I'll be Friday hanging with Jason and Alec and the crew, and then Saturday morning with the girls. And then, next Tuesday, my channel has the Omni X-Men. So we'll be reading and discussing this issue of the Uncanny X-Men, Wolverine's first solo story.
And by the way, if you don't follow John on TikTok, do yourself a favor, because his content is much more digestible in 1-minute segments than they are in 1-hour segments. So he really does some of his best work over there.
Such a great comment. So good. Yeah, I am a YouTube, TikTok sensation now. Yeah, you know what it is? I just like the simplicity of it. It's so easy to quickly make something and post it over there.
Yeah.
I've already made like 20 TikTok videos.
Yes,
It's
I
just a
know.
whole lot of fun. And
I do
none of
follow
the
you, but
effort.
I'm not White Whale Comics over there. So
But it's none of the effort of YouTube, where you really have to do a ton of work to make an edited video for YouTube, in my opinion. Like,
yeah, R.I.P. Vine.
yeah, yeah, sad. I do have moves, not necessarily like Jagger though. What is up, Ruben Guzman or White Tiger Comics? Good to see you.
Yeah, what's up? Just in time for us to leave, unfortunately.
Truly.
But thanks for stopping by. Catch it on the rewind if you want. Watch us shit on Batman versus Bigby for a while, and then me get angry at Not All Robots, even though I liked it.
Next month is back on my channel, and I'm gonna make sure that Alec reads this. And actually, I'm getting a copy of May's book and Primordial for you, so I'm gonna send those over, and we can talk Lemire.
I have a book to send you, but I'm not going to send you one book.
Yeah,
so.
no, I'm putting together a little something, but I got those 2 Lemire books that I know you missed, so we're gonna hopefully get some good Lemire talk at the end of next month.
Sounds good to me. I love that guy.
Yeah,
I mean, I met him. He seems nice enough. I love his work.
we snuggled.
Okay. Hey, nice seeing you. Never turn your back on the ocean. Let me try that again. It's been a while. Never turn your back on the ocean? No, shouldn't be a question. Never turn your back on the ocean. Thanks for stopping.